All right, yeah, let's see. I got one tablet here. If I could just get a cable, I could. There's got to be a better way than this. One of the issues that comes up a lot with a lot of these little charging packs, these multiple USB charging ports, is that they give you one or two that are 2.4 and then one or two that are the other way. And what I have to spend a lot of time doing is figuring out which, because I have multiple devices, I have to figure out which one plugs in where and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's open this up. So we have the Unitek. As you can see, the holes, they look like vent holes, but they're obviously not. What they're for is for the dividers they're going to give me. So we have that. We have the power, where the power supply is going to go in. So it says output is 12 volts at 10 amps. I would have to do my math, but at, 12 volts, but it's only really 5, but 2.4 amps. I'd have to do the math, but they say you should be able to power 10 iPads, but I would think that 10 at 2.5, I would have to have more amperage than that. But okay, all right, we will see what happens. And then I have dividers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 in there, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can't swear that I counted those correctly, but we'll check those out. Let's just see what else we got in here. Old yellow sheet of paper. Oh, I guess this is so I could, these little tags in case I needed to label those. That's fine. And then thank you very much for purchasing our product. Now, the only thing that's not in here that every ad shows, and it's, again, I don't fault them for that, I just want to just bring that up, so they always show these little short USB cables so that you can just go straight through and do that. So those are not there. That's something that I would strongly suggest you get off of eBay, because if you go to your local computer store, those cables might be like $5 each. So you'd be looking at like another $50 just in the USB cables. I have some lit USB cables that I'll use right now because they're kind of pretty, but they're going to be tremendously long because they're, 1 foot or 2 foot because they were farther away. I would rather just have a bunch of short USB cables that will just go right from here right into the device. So I'll order those later. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Let me just check one other thing on this power supply. Let's just take a quick look at this here. Okay, so that was the other thing I just wanted to check. It is, the input is 110, 240, which is pretty standard these days, but you want to check that. I go to Europe a lot because I'm the high-tech nomad, and so I know I can just take this with me, and that's the other reason that I got this, because I do have so many things when I go on a trip, and I want to be able to take this out. These dividers, by the way, they fit in, but they don't snap in, which means when I get ready to travel, I can just pull them out, pack it up, and then when I get to wherever I'm going to be, I can put them in. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up, and let's see where we go. And that, my friends, is the magic of video, because it's actually about 2.5 weeks later from when I started this. My cables just came in, so I did originally have it set up with those other cables, and it was just a mess. These cables are 8 inches from tip to tip, so obviously I lose a 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch, 1 inch here, and a 1/2 inch, 1 inch here. So you can see these 8-inch cables are the perfect size for these. And the other thing to remember is that they are USB cables. By that I mean this is a USB charger. So anything I want to plug in. So if I wanted to plug in iPads, I don't happen to have any iPads plugged in here right now. But I also went and bought a spare charger for my Fitbit and a small spare cable for my wife's S5, so that when we're on a trip we can just plug this in. And again, it might end up being, as you can see, I'm charging my eyepieces, my other Bluetooth headsets here, and you can see, so I can end up doing something like that. But in general, this is nice. The only complaint that I have
is that for whatever reason they put the socket on the side. I'm trying to keep the tension because the block is, you saw the power block is fairly large, so I'm trying to keep the strain off of that. But you do have this thing sticking out of the side, which would have been much nicer if this was in the back of the unit. Then I could put it between, especially where these, as you can see, they're working pretty well as far as holding stuff up. There's a couple. I have a Windows tablet here and an older tablet that's fairly heavy, and those dividers are fine. I'm not afraid that they're going to break or anything like that, but it would have been nice if this wasn't here. I would move this right over to the side of the box. I have something else, I would have moved it right over, and then that would have ensured that nothing is going to fall over. So like I said, you want to make sure you don't put a lot of strain on that block, because that's where your problem. See, it just came out there, and you can see as soon as I let that go, that's going to try and run for the hills. So I've got to make sure that there's not too much pressure on, not too much tension on this cable. That block is very, very heavy, so I'm gonna have to find another place to put that block where it's not pulling on the cable. Other than that, it's been fine. Like I said, it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I used it. This is now finally with the correct cables, and this is exactly why I need this. As you can see, I have one. This is not even all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tablets, and I think there's probably 4 more around the house, 4 or 5 more around the house. And especially my Windows tablet, I like to make sure that that's ready to go. So now at night, I just plug that in, and even with that having a sort of weird place where the connector is, the 8-inch cable is fine. And again, I have charged some iPads in it. I was able to charge 3 iPads at the same time. No issue whatsoever. Everything plugged in just right. It does have some features where it's talking about it knows how to give it more juice or less juice or turn off, so you don't have to worry about overcharging anything. So that's pretty good. So now I use that for my tablets. I do have one of those little boxes you can get at Kmart for my watches. But again, I was trying to pull all the cables through here, and the cables it was just a mess. And so now you can see not that much of a mess. Okay, this has been the High Tech Nomad signing off.